Hello there, today it is time for a quick update on the Great Game Catch-Up, because recently there have been two games I've finished and taken off the to play list, and those were Please Don't Touch Anything and South Park: The Stick of Truth. Please Don't Touch Anything is a 2015 indie puzzle game. It's a cool idea, and you can of course complete the game by doing what the title says, but there are of course also 24 other endings to the game, and I managed to find about half of those before I got to the feeling that this game wasn't really for me. The puzzles involved were way too obscure and way too cryptic, and I got to the point where I realised that I'm not going to solve any more of this. At which point I looked at some guides, and that confirmed it to me, is that I just don't see how anyone could ever solve these puzzles. But obviously many people have, and I'm already well aware that cryptic puzzles are something that I'm just not very good at, and so I couldn't see myself enjoying the game any further than that. I did go through and see all the other endings by following a guide, and that was kind of worth doing because there are some very cool endings to find, but it wasn't as satisfying. But of course I would have never been able to have done it without that, so yeah. It's a cool concept, it's extremely well executed, it's got lovely music to go along with it, but for me the puzzles were just too obscure. But if super obscure cryptic puzzles are your thing, then this might be the game for you, but it wasn't that great for me personally. So on to the other game I recently finished, South Park: The Stick of Truth, a 2014 role-playing game from Obsidian. I've generally been a pretty big fan of Obsidian's role-playing game output, although they tend to be never quite perfect, but well-intentioned. Probably the best thing about Stick of Truth is how much it looks and feels like a living interactive episode. It's got a fun story that feels very South Park, but it doesn't quite have the same level of satire that one of the TV episodes would have. Probably because they've tried to make it feel a bit more timeless and not reference as many current events as an episode of the show would. And so it comes across a bit more of a greatest hits of the show of the past. So it's full of old fun references but doesn't actually have a lot to say. So I think that would make it far less interesting for people who aren't already big fans of the show. I am a big fan of the show and really enjoyed this game, but I think a lot of the fun detail would be lost on someone who hadn't watched a lot of episodes of the show. But it's fun and it's not too long. I completed the main storyline in just 16 hours, which is super short compared to things like Fallout 4 or The Witcher. So if you happen to be looking for a role-playing game that's more on the crude and funny side rather than your grimdark medieval or your epic space adventure, but still you kind of need to be a South Park fan to get the most out of it. So in conclusion, two great well-made games that I would recommend, but with heavy caveats. You need to be into obscure puzzles, or you need to be a fan of South Park to get the most out of these games. Have you played either of these games? What did you think? Tell me about it in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.